Alrighty, welcome back to the Movie Well Marathon. I'm Andrew.
And I'm Mac.
Heck yeah. And we're on
Yeah.
Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban. See the disclaimer in the description and the beginning of the first episode 2 weeks ago. Thank you.
Yeah.
We're on Prisoner of Azkaban, directed by Alfonso Cuarón. I definitely said that wrong. Be patient with me. Came out June 4th, 2004. Let me recover real quick just for a second, because I know it's old. I didn't fully just conceptualize that this movie is 20 years old. Didn't think about it. 20 years old.
It can't drink yet.
It can't. It can't drink
All
yet.
of my siblings can, but this movie
Wait.
can't.
Yeah, it can.
Oh.
It can. It can drink this year.
It can drink this year.
It can drink. Anyway, starring, of course, Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint, Gary Oldman, and joining us, Michael Gambon, R.I.P. Richard Harris, David Thewlis as Remus Lupin, and, of course, Alan Rickman, the Dursley folks, and Robert Hardy is back as the Minister for Magic, Maggie Smith, Matthew Lewis, Emma Thompson joining us as Sybil Trelawney, Robbie Coltrane, you know him, you love him. Warwick Davis, actually, fun little thing I learned today about that. Put a pin in that just because it's fun. Okay. And then yeah, bunch of folks, everybody, we love them. It's great. Here we go. Prisoner of Azkaban. Now, look, real quick. I could talk about this movie for 3 hours. I have so many fun little tangents and stuff. You got to try to keep me on track. I would like to first say I watched this movie for the first time when I was a kid. I was probably 11 or 12. And it's one of my greatest cinematic regrets of my entire life. Because I had not read the books, and I don't know if the mysteries of this movie are any good. Because when I watched it, I didn't clock a single thing because I was stupid and wasn't keeping track of it. So, like, when Hermione screams, he's a werewolf, I was like, what? What do you mean? And then, like, when Harry's like, Mr. Weasley, why would I go after someone who wants to kill me? I'm like, yeah, Mr. Weasley, what the fuck are you talking about? This is stupid. You're stupid. I didn't keep track. So like, and then I just grew up with the movie, and then I read the book, and I was like, oh yeah, this connects to this, and that was a nod to that. So, and when when Lupin hops in front of the boggart, and it's the full moon, I was like, oh, he must be scared of like nighttime. It's like, you dumb motherfucker. So like I really,
If it helps, I remember trying to solve some of these mysteries as I was reading the book, and I really didn't get anywhere. I picked up on the fact that this guy's last name was Remus, and as the nerdy kid I was familiar with the story of like Romulus and Remus. And I was aware of the fact that they were like birthed by a wolf, or they drank wolf's teeth, whatever. And so like basically I knew that his name was like Wolfie McWolferson. Yeah. I was aware
Remus
of that.
Lupin. Wolf, 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 man. Wolf, 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 wolf.
Yeah, and then when he jumped in front of the moon, and the boggart, and it turned into the moon, when I was reading that, and the book even makes a bit of a deal out of it. They're like, we don't know why he's afraid of a moon, but okay. And I went, okay, and just moved on. Like, sure, people have weird fears, whatever. And it wasn't until Snape was subbing and assigned the work on Werewolf that I even got close to putting it together.
I didn't. I just thought it was because Snape was an asshole and he didn't want to teach what Remus was teaching. Like I
feel like the construction of this plotline is designed so that you don't get it till the end. The one thing I didn't pick up on at all, even when reading the book, was how Hermione was like jumping from class to class. They basically just kept saying like, we don't know how she fits all of this in her schedule. And in my brain, I was like, it's their characterization for Hermione. She's just being the whiz that we know her to be.
I thought it was Ron was stupid. And he just didn't notice, because the only time
Ron actually has a detective moment in this film.
I know, because when she pops into class that Snape is subbing, that's pretty good because she like wasn't in the desk. But like you could also just say you didn't see her come in, and Ron is just Ron. But like the okay, I'm gonna get onto a tangent. I gotta stay focused here. With the boggart lesson, seeing the class in the reflection and she's not there, then coming into like our current room and she is. That was fantastic. That was brilliant. All that. I gotta stay focused.
Yeah. Do we want to like stay focused by maybe like trying to tie it to the progression of the film? So like we start at the beginning and we like move our way through.
I think before we do that though.
Okay.
So, not quite elephants in the room, but like obvious changes. We lost our Richard Harris. We now have Michael Gambon. I think he does really well. He definitely grows into the role, I think. We also, new director, Chris Columbus has gone on. He said he wanted to spend time with his kids. So we have our Alfonso and Alfonso. My guy. Dude.
It's so good.
You're fucking crushing it, my guy. Like, it's beautiful. Like, So, gotta stay focused. The use of camera work. He used like a lot of handheld cameras, longer shots, fantastic. Loving it. The slightly bluer tinge, don't always love that when it's Snyder. I think it's working for the growing tone as we are aging into the more aggressive magic slightly. The sorting of like subtle chapters in the movie using the willow tree, gorgeous, amazing. The subtle references to time and using clocks throughout the movie, just like in the background, Harry looking out of the...
moving through the clock one way and coming back through the other.
So good.
Amazing.
So good. The use of sound effects for the spells, love that. I had never thought about how little we spend like addressing the use of magic in the previous two movies. We have that right away. We are explicitly learning 2 spells in this movie. We are addressing that you have to think certain things. You have to feel certain things. I noticed that there
were more classes in this film, and I appreciated it. I really liked it.
Yes, good shit. Good shit all around. And I think this is the first time like these movies really got funny. Like, objectively well done, funny.
Second note. Starting with strong Harry sass with the Dursleys. Like, he comes out swinging. Yes,
and then him face planting the glass, though, on the night bus is hilarious. Like, there's legitimate, well-done humor in this movie. I think you could almost argue it is the funniest one. It's just... It's so good. Now,
there's several framing moments that are really good. Like the director's ability to, like in the Leaky Cauldron, when Mr. Weasley pulls Harry aside and he takes him literally to a different part of the room, but it's not really fully secluded. But there are pillars in between the action that's happening in the background and the conversation that they're having. They're also in darker part of the rooms that indicates sort of like the secretness, the closeness of the conversation they're having.
Too. No cuts.
Yeah, they're moving around and like you can tell what's happening in the background, but you're still mostly focused on the conversation that's happening. But you're also a little distracted by what's happening in the background, kind of like how Harry would be in the moment. And it's just, it's great.
So good.
It's really good.
More so than I think any of the other ones. Does this have the best rewatchability? Not just because of the time travel and it's fun to like watch it again and think about them doing this or that or whatever. There's so much going on in the background, like you said, and it's like the first shot of the Leaky Cauldron when we get there at nighttime when Harry's there. There's the dude twisting the spoon in his cup with his hand. First big examples of wandless magic from people that aren't Dumbledore, which is great. The guy cleaning the table and he raises the chairs. First of all, practical effects. There's more of them that we'll talk about. But he picks up a wine bottle with a rag and it disappears. Like, there's so much going on in this scene.
That's so cool.
Yeah, he does like a magician style trick. He picks it up, closes it with his hand, and then raises the chair. There's so, and like, also, did you see what the guy is reading?
Yes. And like, I've seen that whole post.
Yes, the theory of everything by Stephen Hawking. It's great. There's so much going on. It feels lived in. It feels natural. He also, I guess I don't want to jump ahead too much, but while we're talking about the director and what he's done, he told all of the students, like the young cast members, to wear the uniform as you would naturally to make it feel lived in, which is why they have some that are tucked in, some that aren't, some that are disheveled, some that aren't. It's great. Have you heard the story about the paper assignment?
Yes. Yeah, where the main 3. It's so good. I mean, just in case anybody hasn't heard anybody's listening. But, you know, the main 3 were asked to write an essay on what? Character motivations or background?
Like write a paper as if you were your character and, like, how they feel about I don't know what. And Emma Watson wrote like 16 pages. Daniel Radcliffe wrote 1. Rupert Grint never turned his in. Perfect. Yep. All of it perfect. Yeah. Perfect. So yes, good stuff all around. Just one other example real quick of like the practical effects. All of the magic that Lupin does in his office at the very end of the movie, everything packing, the map closing itself, all of that's practical. All of it.
Well done.
Oh, well done. So good. Okay, back to the beginning of the movie.
So I thought the very first scene, kind of on the same note as what we've been talking about, really cool shot to start with Harry under a white blanket with light in the movie where we introduced Dementors.
Yeah.
What a fun image to start with. Mm-hmm. Moving forward, Harry Sass. Fantastic. I go back and forth on the actual content of the scene where he kind of like accidentally makes his aunt float or whatever. It's fine. I felt like it's very basic humor, but like it works.
Well, I don't think of it as humor. I think of it as an example of how this magic is like again, like a biological function. Like he's angry, loses control, and affects someone. I really dig it. Also, and like especially right off the bat, of course, just in general, but with that sequence right away, the music. John Williams' last Harry Potter movie, but he went all over the place. We're using like wind instruments. We're using all these different weird, funny sounds. There's a ticking effect to the music after they time travel. Fantastic. But yes, I'm sorry. Beginning of the movie. Yes. I don't hate it. I think it's pretty well done.
Yeah, I think it really picks up when he leaves, because like, especially when I was reading that part in the book, I was like, finally, I understand.
Yes.
I think I even had this exact thought process when I first read the book. I was like, I understand why baby Harry didn't run away, because literally what was he going to do? Where was he going to go?
Right.
But he now has 2 years of experience where there are people who accept him and like him the way that he is, and that he can serve some purpose in that society. And he still just like stays at the Dursleys.
Yeah.
Pack your stuff and walk, man.
Yeah.
And he does.
Right. Everyone loves to talk, like, I won't rant, but, like, everyone loves to talk about, like, why don't you just go live with the Weasleys? Very fair, but I do think we forget he's got friends that live in London. Hermione lives in London. You know, like, and you don't want to assume, but, like, dude, you got places to go. Anyway, yes, he leaves. Yeah. Love it. Love the line, I don't care, anywhere's better than here. On top of that with the sass, like, oh, yeah? Try me. Love it. Love it. Love it. Always love that. That's great. And then yes,
the magical bus. I remember thinking he was kind of dumb as a kid, but actually, as I think about it, I love it.
I love
because,
the night bus.
Like that's so Wizarding World to be like a charm that allows you to identify a lost witch or wizard, and then a bus can arrive magically to them. Particularly in like, if we're gonna bind it, like let's say it's like actually like a bus where it is bound to a general urban location. He is in London. A lost wizard in London would easily summon a bus charm like that, right? I think it makes perfect sense. I love it. It's kooky, it's crazy, it's goofy.
It is.
It works really well, and it makes sense. It's
good.
Perfect.
Practical effect as well. They built that motherfucker. And then they filmed it all. Like all of it moving around and zigzagging, all of that was done. So like the bus drives at like normal speed, which like normal being slow because it is a triple decker bus, and then everything else is just moving at a snail's pace. And of course minus that squeezing between 2 buses. But like they did all that. That's fantastic. Ugh,
that's very cool.
So good.
That's very cool.
Yes, I'm digging it. Fully on board, loving it all. I have some nitpicks already, which we won't get into. I'm going to say that for the end.
Okay.
I want to say this is not a perfect movie.
I have questions about why the Minister of Magic is expecting Harry at the Leaky Cauldron.
Yeah. So I think
why does he have an office at the Leaky Cauldron?
There's definitely a certain amount of things move very quickly in this world. We don't know how long Harry was out there by the time that he got to the So what I know, and this is stuff you only get from the books. The only reason that the Dursleys know that Harry can't use magic at school, which is something they gloss over real quick in this movie, is because he gets a letter in the second book because of a levitation charm that was cast there, and that was Dobby. And they find out that he can't use magic. So, for one, we had to gloss over that he's doing magic in his bedroom and just getting away with it. I usually headcanon like it has to be in the presence of a muggle, but that's not what happened with the levitation and the cake. So, shall we say, explosion spell happens, and the Ministry would get a notification of that immediately. However, they could pretty much tell like what the situation was. So this is part of the same point. I've always questioned why the Minister seemed to care so much about Harry. It's out of character from what we see of him later on, and it's not that he cares about Harry. It's because a prisoner escaped Azkaban while he was Minister. A prisoner they all think is going after Harry, and if Harry dies while he's Minister, it's going to look bad on him. So he is there to make sure that Harry is safe for his own sake. And I think it tracks and it makes sense and it works. Him getting his books was nice, but again, it's a politician buying him off. So that's all that is. In the moment, it feels very genuine, you know, because like everyone is just caring for him, but it's not. And also, I think there's a little bit...
I was getting bad vibes. Vibes off the Minister in this. Oh, yeah. I mean, not only does he deliver the performance like he is a politician who only really cares about his own interests, like, you can see, like, there's sort of, like, a polite smile to a lot of his interactions with Harry. It's also the way that he treats his, like, weird little servant guy.
Well, we'll have to talk about that in a second, because that's... Yeah, it's not a... Yeah, go on.
Yeah, basically just, like... And then, like, the whole... This is actually... As much as I would praise the general, like, framing and blocking and directing in this film, I do take small issue with some of the colors. I feel like in this scene it works. The office is small and cramped and dark, and that visually tells our readers, be on guard. We don't like small, cramped, dark places as humans. So the office itself is telling me, don't trust the Minister's interactions with Harry right now. And then... later, like jumping all the way to the end with the shack, I feel like they blend into the background. I can barely make out the characters from like the walls of the scene.
A little much.
And that
a little too blue.
I think it blends too well. Like if it's all from the same color palette, that's fine. But it's like they're literally the same color and the same texture modeled as the wall. They're like camouflaged in the scene. And
especially
it's not
Sirius, because he's real grungy.
Yeah,
I see what you mean.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to the beginning. We were talking about the Minister and how crowded his office is. And how it's giving us bad vibes.
Yes. So he was giving bad vibes. I always found it disarming when Harry is like ready to go to jail. And he's like, oh, come on. We don't send people to Azkaban for blowing up their aunt. Like, it's clearly not a big deal, dude. Like, you're fine. I always found that to be comforting. But in retrospect, knowing how sleazy the Minister is, it's... very clearly, you know, just protecting himself. You mentioned his weird little servant guy, so I want to talk about that just for a quick second. Of the things that Alfonso changed for this world, I am down for most of them. But that's Tom, the innkeeper of the Leaky Cauldron, who we meet at the beginning of the first movie. The lovely, rosy-cheeked, big-nosed, curly-haired guy. So I don't know why we decided to make him a master, the plans style hunchback Frankenstein.
Igor?
I don't have a clue. I never understood that, and it took me a couple of watches to realize that that's Tom. Tom, as in the innkeeper of the Leaky Cauldron. Don't like that. I don't even know why I don't like that. Just because it's weird. You turn this guy into like a little monster.
It's a weird choice to have a perfectly fine character to choose, like, you know, actor, or at least just caricature, like the look of something that we've already established in the film. Instead, we're going to change it to something entirely different that totally alters, like, the mood of the cauldron. Weird.
It's weird.
Anyway. Moving on.
Moving on.
One of the first things you're going to notice about the Weasleys is that Scabbers is suddenly very important to the scene.
Yes.
He's going to be front and center in a lot of these shots because we must remember that Scabbers is a thing because he becomes important later.
Yes. That's another thing I wonder if I would have picked up on if I watched this as an adult, because I feel like it's laid out. I feel like in like a really bad Sherlock Holmes kind of movie, all the pieces are put there. And if you really pay attention, or if you're not an idiot, it probably makes sense. I didn't catch any of it. Again, the first time I watched it. I don't
think you get... like, on this rewatch, I was kind of paying attention to see if I could find, like, reasons to know where this was going before we get there. And I feel like the story does a decent job of laying out consequences for events that you can't possibly understand yet.
Sure.
You have to get to the end before you understand why these things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
The Scabbers thing, the only reason it might stand out to a viewer, if they really know what they're looking for, is the fact that Scabbers has been a part of the story before, but he's never been like every now and then he'll be like just kind of like in Ron's lap, or maybe he's being used to like a part of a joke in a class. But in this movie, there are several characters who carry him up by their face or are extending their arms with him like out in front of them. This is the first time that Scabbers is taken like center stage for seemingly no reason in the shot. But only person who's really paying attention and who is familiar with how shots are constructed would notice that.
Yeah.
I don't suspect any kid should be expected to pick up on that detail.
That's fair. Yeah, the kids for sure. I do wonder, though, if, again, watching this movie with the adult brain and just, like, reading movie language, you know, like the use of Chekhov's gun style stuff, like,
sure.
if you're, I feel like this is a good example of, like, nothing is pointless in this movie. That might be an exaggeration. I'm not thinking about every single moment. But it's like, okay, so Scabbers is taking more center stage. Interesting. Why would that be? We learned about werewolves. Let's say that this smart person watching it has already put together that Lupin is a werewolf. It's like, okay, we also were talking about Animagus, and we're talking, like, the rat is a thing, the dog is a thing. I wonder if you could make the jump to the Marauders map and Mooney, Padfoot, Wormtail. You wouldn't know who Prongs is, and
yes.
So I just wonder.
I think by the time you get the nicknames, now the nicknames are not really focused on in the movie.
No, they're
in
not.
The book, they spend time pondering like who are these people. In the movie, like they're just on the map. I would say by the time you get to the names, if you're clever enough to put together that Remus is a werewolf, then Mooney becomes rather obvious, and then the rest of them you could kind of maybe try to get at that idea, right? But I still don't know if you really have the pieces you need to come to the conclusions that the end of this movie gets to. And I don't think you're supposed to. Like, I think you're not supposed to understand what's happening until the end, because the kids don't. And I think that does work. Well, although I will say sometimes the kids like believe these things that you as the viewer are supposed to raise an eyebrow at, like the moon thing, right? Like that's supposed to be weird. You're supposed to notice that. You're not supposed to know what to make of it, but it's there for the readers and the characters to see. So
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we kind of referenced what I would like to talk about eventually, which is a critique of the movie, which is their handling of the Marauders map. So, but we'll get to that later on. But now we're in the Leaky Cauldron. We're with the Weasleys. We're with Hermione. That's all great. Love it.
Getting on the train.
We see the picture of them in Egypt. The only time we ever see Charlie in the entire movie franchise.
Poor Charlie.
Yeah, it's also cool that they include that, just because that's like the only thing that is like connected to how Sirius Black breaks out of Azkaban. They do not address that at all in the movie, which is a bit of a bummer. But that newspaper is very important, so it's cool that we at least get to see that for a moment. And then, we're on the train. We see a Dementor. We meet Remus Lupin. Good stuff.
I don't know why he's on the train, but it is genuinely such a relief to have a competent adult when you need one that I'm just not gonna question it. I'm like, fine, he's on the train. Let's keep going.
He's on his way. He's for his first job as professor against the dark arts and all that. It's good stuff. It's cool.
Yeah, but none of the other professors are ever on the train like that.
That's because the other ones live there.
Yeah, there are new professors every year at Hogwarts, and none of them are ever on the train.
Well, maybe they are. How much of the train do we honestly see in the last two movies? Let's be real. We aren't even on the train in the last movie.
I said I wasn't going to question it. I'm not going to question it.
Okay. So we get to Hogwarts. Hogwarts looks great. We're getting some cool music. Music is great. The frog choir is very fun.
Love it.
Fun little thing here. One of my pins wanted to come back to. The script did not call for Professor Flitwick to be in this movie at all. But Alfonso wanted to maintain Warwick Davis because Warwick Davis is amazing and we love Warwick Davis. So he cast Warwick Davis as the choir director and liked the choir director's look. So later directors just said, That's Flitwick. So that's why Flitwick goes from this strange little goblin guy with a massive half fro and mustache to this strange little butler who directs the choir. And I did not know this until I read through.
Makeover.
Well, a lot of people did, but why I found it so interesting is when I was watching it today, I had the subtitles on, and when they're in the Great Hall, all the students are sleeping there because Sirius Black broke in. Everyone's talking. It's got Filch's lines, Snape's lines, and then it says choir director or man's lines. And I was like, that was Flitwick. Why didn't Flitwick get credited? It's because Flitwick's not in this movie technically. And it's just this new character that he decided to cast Warwick Davis as. It's just strange. And then it's retconned back to Flitwick. Yes, it's so funny. Yeah. Just like, in this movie, like, okay, as like a fun, weird trivia question, which is the only movie that Professor Flitwick isn't in? Like, what do you mean? Flitwick's in all of them. Actually, no. No, he's not. But anyway. Yeah, the Toad stuff and the Double Double Toil and Trouble song, love it. All of that's really fun. Dumbledore's little message about, happiness can be found even in the darkest of times. That's great. Lovely quote.
Cute.
We see the fat lady. They've moved the Gryffindor common room to the center of the grand staircase instead of down a hallway. That was strange.
Yeah.
That's a weird place for a common room. Not very secluded. And not that it has to be, but that's an interesting choice.
Ooh. This was the point in which I had a thought. In the new show they're creating, I kind of hope that they do different styles of painting that maintain their style as they interact with other paintings.
Oh, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Just like a fun art choice that I kind of hope they make. That was all.
Yeah.
Continue.
Another example of fun background stuff, though. Not just Sir Cadogan being seen in other pictures in the background all over the place, but like there's a giraffe that just keeps moving. Because it's from that painting with the hippo, but it just keeps roaming through all the other paintings. And depending on the perspective of the painting, it's like neck is like the whole frame, or it's in the background. Like brilliant background stuff. Funny. It's so good. But yeah, the moment with all the boys eating the candy, just chilling. I love that. It feels very genuine. It feels very fun.
Great scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My headcanon was like Fred and George early experiments. Way too early for that. But I just like to think of it sometimes. So then, we get moving. We got class. We got the Boggart class. Both awesome and annoying, I think, personally.
Don't skip the hippogriff lesson.
Oh, I'm sorry. The hippogriff. We also have to do the Trelawney lesson, which is just a bunch of nonsense.
Yes. Well, okay, Hermione.
Just a bunch of nonsense.
I love Thompson's performance as Trelawney.
Yeah, she's great.
And she disappears behind the character. You can kind of see a little bit of her acting and her body language and her hands and her jaw, but the wig and the glasses, she's a different person. And she really buys into the character of Trelawney. She's fully crazy, for lack of a better word. I also love that Trelawney is always right but wrong. The Grim is something that is kind of haunting Harry because there is a large black dog kind of following him around, but it's not because it's a symbol of death. It's because it's although arguably isn't it a symbol of death?
It is. See, that's where I'm torn because the Grim doesn't come into this at all. However, it does 4 years from now when he dies. But it's a little weird that he only sees images of the Grim during his 3rd year at Hogwarts. We never see the wolf popping up in clouds or smoke or tea leaves again. So that's a little weird.
That's true. The cloud thing, I don't remember the cloud thing being in the book. I feel like that's cinematic. I don't recall. The movie.
I don't like it because it doesn't come into anything. Because looking at the movies as a whole, sure, it's kind of fun to think that that's an omen of death. Yes, and this movie, it doesn't apply to anything. Because even if you want to try to argue, it's an omen of Sirius's death. No, it's not. Because this time travel is definitely that 4th dimensional style. It always happened. There was never a version where it didn't. It's just Sirius never died in this. Dumbledore talks about it as if it hasn't happened yet because Harry and Hermione, from their perspective, haven't done it yet. But Sirius never died. Buckbeak never died. There's no omen of death. No one dies in this movie. So
yeah. So I like the angle they take on that. I also like the fact that Hermione doesn't like it, and the fact that other characters do like it. Like, I like that there's opinions and debate in the magic wizarding world about divination. That's fun. And then it's also fun because I think if you really read the books, Hermione doesn't like it because she's bad at it.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah, that is definitely like 80% of it. But if I recall, like what I think it is Ferenz. It might be a different centaur. Whoever they get to sub the class in the 5th year, kind of lays out that like the and it's super funny. The divination that Trelawney teaches is bullshit. All of it is just silly nothingness. There's like only one way, two or three ways to like actually predict the future. And one of them is like reading stars, the other is this weird oracle thing. So it's funny that Trelawney is teaching bullshit, but she is actually an oracle, and she doesn't seem to be aware of it. It's very funny. She's basically witness protection, and Dumbledore is just keeping her safe and giving her something to do. Yeah. But like the class is nothing. Like they're not learning anything useful. And it is funny. But like Hermione's reasoning, I think, is definitely more.
Yeah. The Grimm is actually the one piece of folklore that I was introduced to through this series. Everything else I already knew about. The Grimm I had to look up when I was reading the books. I was like, I don't know what this is. Is this a real thing? It seems like it might be a real thing. And it is. So I now know about the Grimm. So that's cool. But I knew about everything else. Let's see, moving forward. The Hippogriff lesson is important for character dynamics, even though I don't feel like it really comes into play. Well, it's important for the end of the movie plot-wise.
A little bit of world building as well, just to have some nonsense from the Malfoys and consistent antagonistic kind of bullshit. Also, look, I love Hagrid, but any other student, dude, you can't just be throwing people on hippogriffs. If it was anyone other than Harry, that's a problem.
My note is Hagrid is a madman.
Yes.
Because it's insane. I mean, maybe he could get away with it because it was Harry. He trusts Harry in a way, right? But like, I mean, it's just the like forcing the kid to interact with something that could be potentially dangerous, especially when you're right there. I get that. This is Beast class. It's gonna be a little dangerous. So having him step up and bow and like interact positively with the Hippogriff, all good. I'm hesitant as like someone who's concerned for the safety of the kids, but also in general, lessons can be dangerous. This is something that they need to learn. Go for it. But then putting the kid
on
the back of the Hippogriff. Away? And telling the Hippogriff to go fly?
I know.
Dude, are you crazy, man?
My God. And I do think with my now stupid, mature, fully developed brain, I'm like, dude, the first day? Start with the Nifflers, man. Now don't go straight. Also, not even from a danger perspective. Like you should. You want to start with like the ground, like Bowtruckles, Nifflers, bring it up to Grindylows and Murtlaps, and then get to Mooncaps and so on and so forth. But not just for the learning how to deal with them, but like don't. Forgive me for being a little bit vulgar. Don't blow your load on the first day with an amazing creature. Start with the little things and build your way. You're not going to bring a dragon in, the Hippogriff, that's end of term. That's like a really cool final exam. That's good shit. Don't start with that. Like, I understand why you have to for the story. Like, I understand.
It's also pretty Hagrid. It's a very Hagrid move.
It is, which is why like Dumbledore is like, you know what? Hagrid's gonna be the new professor of magical creatures, and then McGonagall's like, okay, look, yes, but maybe, and just hear me out, Albus, maybe he has a teaching assistant, like one of the 7th years or something, maybe someone to keep him from, I don't know, putting a child on the back of a wild animal that can fly. Because it's Hagrid. We all love it. We all love Hagrid. We all
What's
love
crazy
Hagrid,
about this scene, honestly, is the fact that the reason a student gets injured is because Hagrid wasn't listened to. Like, all of Hagrid's crazy decision-making ends up being fine, but Malfoy over here can't stand being, second best, so he has to go up. And of course, he's doing all the wrong things. Hagrid is very clear, you need to show respect to the Hippogriff, you have to bow to it. And Malfoy walks up and he's like, you stupid creature, I don't want to ride. And he gets kicked in the face for his troubles.
Yeah, and I know the Malfoys are the Malfoys and they're going to Malfoy. With the number of witnesses there, I honestly do want to, would Dumbledore honestly have allowed that legally? Like, clearly, we'll get to it. Dumbledore he's got stuff going on in his background. Like, he knows he wants to save Buckbeak because the Malfoys are fuckheads. But, like, I laid out instructions. You ignored them and were injured because of it. Case closed, dude. Like, it's really cut and dry. And again, I know
this is
Malfoy's
like a kid that
Malfoy.
pours like a mild acid on his hand in science class. Like we don't stop using the lesson.
You're not gonna blame So I don't remember all what happens in the book if there's more to it than that. In this, I'm like, Hagrid has done nothing wrong here. And so I kind of wish that was explored a little more. Also, when Hermione yells Hagrid, he has to be taken to the hospital. She's wearing the time turner there. You don't know what it is, but it's cool that we see it, throughout the whole movie.
At one time when Ron calls her out, I think in divination class, she adjusts it around her neck, and you don't totally know what's happening, but once you rewatch, you know exactly what she's doing.
So good.
Real quick note on acting. Felton played up Malfoy getting injured like a little baby, and it's so fun to watch because it takes you straight to like the Harry Potter musical bits where it's just he's killing me. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. Because it's really not an exaggeration. He's literally flopping around on the ground like, I'm dead.
Yeah. I honestly wish, because especially since they went a little darker with this, I wish they would have gone further and like it's bent the other way or something. Because like they did that in 2 with his arm with no bones. Like I think it'd be cool if his like holding his arm out, it's just bent down the other direction.
I mean, I know it's for kids, but his hair is very blonde, and he landed pretty hard. A little bit of blood on the back of the head, or kind of like the hand move where you bring it around and there's blood on your fingers.
It's for kids, but we watch a man turn into a werewolf, and we see a dude's soul get sucked out by the interpretation, the physical interpretation of depression. We can see Malfoy get roughed up a little bit, I think we'll be fine. We'll survive.
Plus, it makes us take the incident a little bit more seriously, especially as a kid who likes Hagrid and hates Malfoy. Like, a lot of the time we're like, oh, he was just being dumb. It doesn't really matter. But, in a real situation like this, there would be a conversation about what to do with the creature. Even if it is like a situation we were talking about where the kid got in trouble because he didn't listen, like, there's still going to be, it doesn't matter why a dog bites a person. Generally, that dog has to be, like, put down in general, right? That's the rule of thumb. So that's the sort of thing that we're kind of thinking about with hippogriffs. So I think a little bit of seriousness in that moment would have been good. Yeah. Just to add to the scene.
And just to re-emphasize what we kind of said, and since we're in this moment, are you liking that we get, like, 3.5 full-blown class scenes? We get Buckbeak class, we get Ridiculous class, we get Patronus class, we're getting classes, we're getting, and then like we get divination, but it's nothingness, but still.
Yeah, no, this is what I was looking for when I started the Harry Potter series. Not necessarily that I want to be in magic class, like with the students, just that I expected a large part of the story to be learning things that are going to be important later, which is what is happening in every single one of these classes. Like if you're going to set up the idea that these kids are going to school to learn magic, then I expect them to go to class, learn some magic, and the magic that they learned comes in handy later. Like, that's what I expect, and that's what happens in this film. It barely happens in the other 2 films, like maybe just kinda. And like, this one is finally kind of setting up the whole, like, we're going to do the normal thing, and because we did the normal thing, we benefit and we learn in the real important thing. I like it a lot. Yes. I even like moving to like the Boggart class. There's a ton of like good character choices that are happening that really, like, class is a great framework to get into characters' heads and actions, right? And like, first off, framing again. Having the Boggart in a mirrored container.
Yes.
Because it's a reflection of your fears. Like,
and using it in the scene again. Yes. So good. I saw on IMDb as well, people have critiqued the end of that scene saying like, oh, they goofed. Harry's scar is on the wrong side of his head. It's like, did you guys not watch? We went back into the reflection. You weren't paying attention. So good. My only thing with that is I wish that sequence went on longer. I would like to see more of the fears and the funny stuff. I think it'd be fun. Slash, I don't know what Parvati Patil has going on in her life, but the fact that her funny thing is, I would say, at least 8 times scarier than a giant snake is insane. That creepy ass giant Jack-in-the-Box is so unpleasant. We have 2 Harry Potter movies in which there is a giant snake. This one is adorable compared to the last one, and it's supposed to be her worst fear. Now I understand that Parvati was not in the chambers. Like I get it. Okay, I'm having some fun shit talking right now. But Jesus Christ, that Jack-in-the-Box is terrifying.
I was sitting there wondering a little bit if her fear of snakes was amplified by the fact that there was a snake-like creature last year. I think
that's a very interesting take. Very interesting take. I don't know how the Jack-in-the-Box is meant to be funny.
I don't know. Maybe it's just like a big version of one that she had as a kid. It doesn't really matter. What's smart about it is it's a face that looms over Harry when he's thinking about his worst fears, so he thinks about the Dementor instead of Voldemort, which is clever. Yeah. I also think it's really clever to have Neville picked to go first, because Neville's whole thing is that he doesn't feel brave or look brave, but he does do the thing anyway. And that's what going first in class looks like, where you usually are not confident. You're the first student to try this. You don't know how it's going to go. Everyone's watching you because you're the first person to do it. So you're very vulnerable to peer pressure or, being made fun of. And he is made fun of, but he successfully completes the task in a very fun and unique way, like something that's true to him. So, again, there's so many good, genuine moments in this scene that happen because it's a classroom scene that gives us details about characters, that sets up things for the story later on. And it's just good. We get good, positive adult role models and teachers from these scenes where we see more about how, it's not just, adults walking around the castle looking to get kids in trouble. It's adults actively trying to do their job with students in the room, some of them to varying degrees of success. I don't know. I really like it. This is probably a weird, hill to die on, but Harry Potter needs to have more magic classes, and this is what I'm talking about.
You're absolutely right, and I agree, and I think it's excellently placed in this as well, because we are slowly running out of time. We have lots more to talk about, but this being a very personal story as well, with Sirius Black and Lupin being back, one could argue that's a bit coincidental, but there's a lot of that in this franchise as a whole. This is the only movie as well where Voldemort isn't the bad guy, and I think it benefits from that. Yeah, we don't have that convoluted Voldemort's doing this, that, or the other. We have basically the same thing, but with a fun twist in the end that Sirius Black is not actually the bad guy. And I think that's cool. I think it works very well. And moving away from class, even though we love class is great. We do have to talk about the map a little bit. We got to talk about Hogsmeade a little bit. I think we got to talk about Werewolf a little bit. We got to talk about the time travel a lot a bit. So we got more to talk about. So. Okay.
So, jumping through a lot of things, what do you want to get to first? The map, maybe?
I think the map's a good one. I think that's a good place to start. Lots of fun to be had there. Lots of really fair questions. I love how they designed it. That is another, I think, a really good example of...
It's a beautiful prop.
It is. Yeah. It is. That's a really good example of that is not a Rowling thing. Rowling came up with a map idea, and then someone made that thing incredible by designing it like that. It is gorgeous. It works super well. It's a huge ethical question, for sure. For sure. I do find fun in the twins had this for 2 years with Ron at the school and never noticed a man named Peter Pettigrew being in the room with him.
Yeah.
We can gloss over that. I do find it slightly hard to believe that they would give it to Harry, because they've only had it for 5 years now. But, dude, giving up something like that's crazy.
Does the map track transformed animagus?
Yeah. Because remember, Harry sees Peter Pettigrew walking towards him, and he can't see him because he's in rat form, and he's walking around him in the hallway. I love that scene because it makes like perfect, brilliant, beautiful sense. Mm-hmm. So yeah,
I just feel like she would have. The general plot hole would be fixed if it didn't track animagus forms.
But it does.
It does.
Yeah. My other thing is, there's no fucking way they figured out the spells to activate and deactivate it. There's just no way.
No, yeah. There must, like, my thought on that has always been, because the map generates, like, it's, you know, it's almost kind of a Horcrux. It's, like, it's got the personality of the friend group. And you can tell it's got the personality of the friend group because when it mocks teachers, it has the style of the friends and the voices of the friends. Mm-hmm. And my thought has always been that after, like, hanging with the guys for a bit, the map shared its secrets. Or honestly, just be liberated from Filch's office was enough for the map to be like, hey, let's be co-conspirators here.
I do wonder sometimes, just because the spell is just a term. It's just like, I can't fathom, like, 11-year-old Fred and George saying, I solemnly swear that I am up to no good casually. And then it just, but also, I can't not see it happening exactly.
Well, what I see happening is the map essentially giving them the clues that they need to say it, like, sort of like a game of charades. Like, it wouldn't necessarily, like, float up and just be like, here's the password, say it. I think it would be more along the lines of, like
what are you doing?
Had conversations with the paper.
No good, and do you
then
swear? I solemnly swear. Like, oh, do you now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess.
Something like that. You know, like, because if I found a piece of paper that willingly interacted with me in a unique way, we have precedent for the Weasleys to already enjoy that sort of thing. And I feel like it would be something that the twins would enjoy having around, to be like, this piece of paper makes jokes and talks back to you. That's hilarious. We're keeping this. Mm-hmm. And then eventually there would be enough time for them to, like, have a rapport, essentially, and for the map to be like, I'm going to clue you in to it. I'm going to find a loophole and clue you in. That's how I've always explained it in my head.
I'll take that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Because I do love the map. Again, just interesting ethical questions. And then quick fun little thing. Right before it fully deactivates, the first time they give it to Harry, we do see Newt Scamander was visiting the school that day. That's the only time Newt Scamander is, like, a part of the Harry Potter, like the Harry Potter movies themselves. So that's just a fun little thing.
They probably just picked a name from the series and threw it in there.
Probably. I mean, like, he might have been there giving a lecture or something. But yeah, Newt Scamander.
Can we touch on how the Dementors single Harry out a little bit?
Yes.
Sorry, I assumed we had talked completely about the map. Do you have more to say about the map?
No.
Okay. The way it's framed in the movie, at least, and it's been a minute since I've read the book, so forgive me if there's something in the book that makes this a little bit easier to understand. But from what I understand, in the movie, they basically indicate that Harry has it, like, more, he gets more attention from the Dementors because he's got worse things in his life. Mm-hmm. Other students should be going down. Not even other students that we necessarily know about, you know, like Neville, for example. But just, like, especially if Hogwarts is supposed to be the school for all of the witches and wizards kids in, like, the UK area. Those kids are showing up with trauma. Not all of them.
Yeah.
But a good percentage of them are showing up with some serious trauma.
Sure.
And so it's like, for Harry to be the only kid who is consistently being targeted by Dementors because he has darkness in his history.
Right, but that's not why.
Is it because that he's... Like, okay, it's because he's the Horcrux. Okay, that makes it better. It's
because he's got a soul and a half. Well, not a soul and a half. He's got, like, a soul and an eighth. But he's got essentially two souls in him. I don't know if that's what she was intending by then. I think by 3, again, I'm not trying to praise Rowling here. Clearly, she didn't have everything set up when she did 1. Probably not by 2 either. I think by 3 she was like, oh wow, this shit's working. So I think they were starting to set stuff up. So I wouldn't be shocked if that was fully intentional. It's like the reason the Dementors are drawn to him is because they're double dipping. He's got more soul juice in him. And I think that works because I mean, lots of people have more trauma. My other thing as well was like, minus the one Boggart Dementor, which you could just say we didn't quite see it. Harry's the only one that they're like sucking on, and that's making him pass out. You know, so like the Dementors just being around other people, I'm okay with them not passing out because of that. The only time Harry passes out because they didn't directly attack him, it seems to be, was when he's practicing the Patronus charm. But you could just say, because we're seeing it from the Dementor's perspective in that exact moment, maybe they were doing it, and it just didn't quite work. Side note, real quick, not relevant, we'll come back to it. Boggarts are kind of terrifyingly powerful, that they even have a 10th of the Dementor's ability to affect people.
Yeah.
That's fucked up. Don't love that. Yeah. Just glossing over the Boggart's ability to do that. So sure, okay, fine.
Boggart as a creature is actually inherently fascinating because it is a perfect metaphor for how fear is disabling.
Sure.
Even though the thing you're afraid of is not necessarily a real thing to be afraid of. Like, sometimes fear is a fair warning system. Sometimes fear is just anxiety, cooked up in your brain. And I love the fact that a Boggart gets the ability to affect you in the way that you're afraid of when it becomes your fear, because that's what fear does. Is it imagines you in a scenario in which you're not actually in, but it is just as disabling as the scenario would be. So that's a cool thing. Moving on.
Yes, going back. Yeah, so Harry being affected, that's all good and fine. People have pointed out that it's weird that he hears his mother's scream, but it's like he witnessed death, but not enough to see a thestral. Not yet.
Okay.
So there is interesting stuff there. I guess you could just say baby Harry heard it, which is fine. Other people have pointed out,
I think it's supposed to be the difference between hearing and seeing.
Well, other people have pointed out it's not Harry's memory. It's Voldemort's, which I kind of vibe with that, man. That's pretty dope, to be honest with you. Anyway, yes, I do.
Although it just put the whole thestral thing into question again, honestly.
Not really, because Harry doesn't have a memory of his mom dying. He didn't see it. He was asleep. Whatever. Who cares? Doesn't matter. The memory of her screaming is Voldemort's fear, because it's when he died. So fear, trauma, all that is pulled up to the surface, but it's not Harry's. Okay. He just gets to experience it. So
okay, I like it. Continue.
I do like that Lupin is offering chocolate, because that's another little fun example of a scientific thing that helps you kind of balance, making you feel a little bit better in the end. That's nice. I like that. That's very sweet.
Dopamine, baby.
Dopamine. This is not important, but this is where we get introduced to Dumbledore's cool owl stand, and I love that thing.
Cool.
Yes, moving on. The Quidditch game is pretty dope. I, again, misinterpreted what was happening in that for the longest time. It's set up so blatantly, so obviously, that when the Dementors are around, everything freezes, and I get that. I first thought, though, that, like, he just got that high, and everything was freezing. I was like, dude, this is an intense game. And then by the time the Dementors got there, it didn't matter because it was already cold. I did not take that as, the Dementors are on their way. I was like, this is a crazy game of Quidditch. Look at how high up he is, and everything is freezing. Either way, I was, like, in it. I was intense, but it took me a couple of watches to realize that that's not what they were saying. Yep.
Let's see. There are a few interpersonal moments in this film that I feel like don't totally land. A lot of them having to do with Ron. I feel like, despite the fact that Ron gets to be a little bit clever in this film with the Hermione thing, he also kind of gets
left behind,
shorted consistently throughout this film. Like, for example, there's the moment when Harry breaks down outside of the shack because he's just, found out horrible things. Hermione runs up to him and comforts him, and Ron, for some reason, is like all the way across the clearing.
Yes, this is the beginning, and I will save the rant until the very end. But this is the beginning, I feel, where we are setting up very naturally, very effectively, the beginning of a Harry and Hermione relationship, not a Hermione and Ron. I think it's developed. They're also doing it with Hermione and Ron, but it's stupid, and I will stand by that. But I think not only in that moment where she goes to comfort him and Ron doesn't for some weird writing reason, but we begin the kind of consistent thing of, while Ron is not useless and he's not stupid, there are going to be multiple situations in the following movies in which the world is basically hinging on Harry and Hermione working together. And that's where we really begin that here, which we do need to get
and I
to.
kind of feel like that's a problem with Ron. Like I don't mind that at the end of this film he's wounded and so he's not able to go on the whole time travel journey. That actually doesn't bother me. But the fact that Ron is not present when he should be comforting Harry, that's just a flaw. Like, Ron's character should be comforting Harry. And, like, the only reason you could possibly interpret Ron not comforting Harry in that moment is if for some reason he was jealous of Hermione's attention. Like, that is the only reason. And I don't think it's a good enough reason. I think that's bad. It's gross, right? So because like they are starting to develop feelings for each other. You can kind of see them like building the Ron and Hermione thing in this film. I also feel like there's a really big moment for Ron that really defines him in the book Prisoner of Azkaban, where they're in the shack. And Ron, with like broken limbs, stands up between Harry and the prisoner of Azkaban and says, if you're going to kill him, you got to kill me too. But Hermione says it in the film.
Yeah.
Because why?
Yeah. Because she can move. I don't know.
Yeah, well, the whole point is that Ron is broken and cannot, like, he knows he has no chance to fight this guy, but he just threatened Harry's life and he's going to stand up and defend him. I don't know. The only thing I can come to is, like, essentially character sabotage. For some reason, whoever was writing the script didn't like Ron and, like, took moments from him. And I don't know why you would do that to a character unless you were actively trying to make a change, like where you were going to have the films end up with Harry and Hermione instead of Ron and Hermione.
Well, like at this point,
we don't do that. So I don't know what's going on.
By the time this movie came out, the books weren't done yet, so it was kind of ambiguous. I wouldn't say ambiguous, but it wasn't clear just yet who was going to go where. And depending on,
I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we might have been leading towards an idea of Hermione being more of a heroic one, and maybe he thought Ron wasn't going to be as important as he does end up being. So, I don't know. Last time I watched this, and then today when I watched it...
To me... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, you finish, because you have a better point. I'm kind of leading somewhere else.
Okay. To me, sabotaging Ron's character is symbolically sabotaging positive male friendships in this franchise.
Yes.
Ron is primarily an emotional support character in the series, and it's like he's a protector, but it's not like he's a super effective protector. Right. No offense, Ron. It's just that his main thing is he cares for the people that are around him, and Harry, having no one really cared about him in the past, having Ron care for him matters a lot. And for this film to swap that out for sort of like a feminine affection, to me is gross. Like, in the sense that, like, not that feminine affection is bad by any means, but it's just like Ron and Harry were examples of like true friendship, love between two guys that kids were reading about and appreciating. Ron was genuinely putting himself on the line several times for Harry, and vice versa. Like, and they had emotional conversations. They were vulnerable with each other, and they had fights, and they had to get through it. Like, it's a very genuine friendship in the books. And I feel like to strip Ron down to comedy character or to some sort of petulant child like he ends up being in some of the other versions of the story, it's very unfair to that friendship and to the modeling that was being done there. So I don't know.
No, I agree. I certainly hope they don't do the exact same thing in the next one to a worse degree. We'll talk about it later. There's a certain part of me, though, that when Ron gets attacked by Sirius and is dragged to the tree, I started losing it. Like, I could not stop laughing. Because, like, when you watch it as an audience member, it's like, ooh, intense. Scary, even. There's a lot going on. This dog came out of nowhere. Ron is screaming for Harry. Great performance, honestly. I feel it. The tree is there. We know how dangerous the tree is. But from the lunacy of from Ron's perspective just gets me hollering. This 13-year-old boy sees this massive black dog jump over a hill, grab his leg, drag him under a tree to the Shrieking Shack, and then shapeshifts into the notorious mass murder Sirius Black. The absolute insanity of that. I was losing it. It was so funny.
The criminal stands there and says, "I need to kill your pet rat. It's a person." Yeah. And you're just like, what?
It's so fucking funny. It is so funny. Like, it's great and it works and all that. It's so funny from that poor little boy's perspective.
Poor Ron.
But yeah, okay, so the willow tree sequence, awesome, love that. Poor them, they really got their asses handed to them. We find out Sirius Black is a good guy. That's great. All of that, the dialogue, the performance between Gary Oldman and Lupin, it's great. I love all that. Harry attacking Snape is great. Them talking to Peter Pettigrew is great. They do in the movie hardcore again gloss over how Sirius Black and Remus Lupin know what the map is. When Lupin references the map, and then Sirius is like, the map never lies. When I was a kid, I just assumed like the map was a product. Not like a Zonko product like Lupin said, but like something that just existed, because the movie does not address this at all.
Right.
Like minor legitimate critique that we completely skip over any of the Marauders stuff.
Yeah, we really don't we get a little bit about Lily and James for the first time from a person who actually really knew them.
Yeah.
But that's kind of all we get. I think it's really significant, and I do feel like maybe adding a little bit more about the Marauders would have been good. But the film is already pretty long, and I'm honestly not sure what I would cut to put it in there.
It's the third shortest. It's a half hour shorter than the last two. Yeah, you could definitely add some more.
Well, they could put 30 minutes of Marauder content in there.
We could get a 10-minute scene of some sort of something or other, doing something. Something. But yes, so we do all that. We learn about Peter Pettigrew. Awesome. Great. Love the moment. And then, honestly, the moment between Harry and Sirius where he's like, you don't have to live with me if you don't want to, but like, if you wanted to, I wouldn't be entirely upset about it. Like, this is also one of those movies where I watch it, I've seen it 50 times, and I'm like, well, maybe this time it'll be different. Maybe this time it'll work.
Especially during that conversation.
Yes.
You want it to be different.
And I again, it's different because I've watched it so many times, and I just wonder what it would be like as an adult. You spend a whole movie ready to hate this character, willing to hate this character, fearing this character, and then like that, he's this comforting presence, this loving, comforting presence. And it's fun. Speaking of that, it's funny to watch Snape go from "I'm gonna rip your throat out, you dumbass motherfucking child" to "everyone stand behind me because I will protect you all."
Yeah, no, I noticed that too. I feel like he gets a few points for that, actually.
He does.
Yeah.
And so we are very much almost out of time, but we do have to talk about real quick
time travel.
Before that, werewolf is amazing. This is maybe my favorite movie werewolf design ever. They wanted to make it look sickly. They succeeded. The transformation sequence is great. The visual design is amazing. It is the scariest version of a werewolf I think I've ever seen. It is kind of weird that Lupin decided not to take his potion that night.
Yeah, no, I kind of, there's no way that he forgot that it was a full moon.
People,
right?
no.
Like,
the explanation I could find is it's the Defense Against the Dark Arts professor position curse, which I guess is actually a canon thing, so that he forgot. And that's just...
I'm not fond of that, but I've already talked about that. Moving on.
I don't like that. So yeah, we fight a werewolf. It's amazing. We fight Sirius, and I'm assuming, I guess, during that fight, he never got bit, because...
Well, and this is where, like, some of the weird things start happening, where there's more happening that we don't get, like the random wolf call in the distance, and the Patronus from across the lake. This is where we're like, this movie has more to explain. This feels like the climax of the film, but there's something happening still.
There's something going on. Something's afoot here. There's some bullshittery. And then Dumbledore. This is like our real first big sequence with Dumbledore, I would say, is them all talking to him. I didn't like him the first time I saw this because he's so different from Richard Harris, and he's smacking Ron's foot. Now I love it. I think it's fucking hilarious. But he seems a little wacky, and I think he does grow into it, and it's aged better on me now. Also realizing that he either knows there's time travel going on, or he woke up that day and he's like, you know what? Fuck this shit. Fuck the Malfoys. I know that Granger has a time turner. I'm gonna imply that maybe she should use it, so I'm gonna make sure that no one's looking at Buckbeak while we go down there, because he's so clearly, look at those strawberry bushes. Look at all that shit over there. What are you talking about?
I
don't see any of it. No,
it's
right there.
Them.
It's right there. You can see it. Like, yeah, I love that. I love that he does that. So yes, werewolf is great.
Also, I don't know if this is like a small script mistake or something, but it's important to me because ever since I found out that the world divides like female and male into witch and wizard, I found that so frustrating and dumb, because witch and wizards are not equivalent to each other, and they're not like female or male versions of a thing. But I mean, witches are typically female and wizards are typically male, but they're not like the male and female versions of the same thing. A witch is a different power set than a wizard is. Anyway, this is the only time that I have noticed wizards being used in like a way that applies to all genders. Dumbledore says young wizards, referring to all of three of them in the room.
So wizards
I don't know if that's an accident or if like
I think wizards, it becomes much more prevalent moving forward. Wizards applies to everyone, and then witches is like an additional one you can use for the ladies.
But then why do they always say witches and wizards? They never refer to Hermione as a wizard.
They do. I mean, they do later, but I think they also refer to her as a witch. So I don't know. I think that's an interesting question for the modern day Hogwarts, shall we say? Has Hogwarts gone woke? Let's hope so in the modern day.
Well, because like, I mean, the male equivalent of a witch is a warlock,
which is not at all the same thing. Any of us. So, yeah. So the way that I have interpreted it, because it seems the way that the rest of them talk about it, is like it's the wizarding world. It is a world of wizards, and then for some reason, sometimes they refer to the women as witches, even though they're all wizards.
That's dumb, though. You should have like a Witch 101 class and a Wizard 101 class where you talk about the different power sets. Like,
it'd be interesting.
But whatever. Whatever.
Real quick, we have to address the time travel and maybe a couple other miscellaneous things. When I was a kid, I struggled a lot with this kind of time travel because I didn't really get it. Looking at it now, I think it's one of the cleanest. It's just
it's pretty good.
It's just the fourth dimension idea that there is no cause and effect. It just happened like that. That's how it worked. That's how it's always going to be. Interesting, kind of fun.
I like that Dumbledore allows them to figure it out as they go, and Hermione is clever enough to actually figure it out. And like they also give their like just cause. Like the stone that gets thrown in the window is a unique looking stone. And when she looks down and she sees it, she's like, "This is the stone that was thrown. I am here. I have to throw the stone." Like you can follow that train of thought really well, even though none of it is said out loud, right?
Yeah.
Perfect.
I think it's all real good. It's good to watch this one like twice and see all the things laid out. I do think it's funny that the one big rule was you can't be seen, and then they immediately run past the executioner again. And I did double check that. I wanted to see it, and you can see him in the scene as they run out of the clock tower. So they just walk past him and then walk past him again. Whatever.
It's fine. No one's looking at
it. It's fine. No one's, and then, Harry produces a massive Patronus. That's amazing. Love all that. It's super cool.
I will say, I think Patronuses are cooler in the books because Patronuses are so introspective, and there's just no good way to really capture that in the movie.
Yeah, I mean, I think they get cooler as we go on when we get more of the animal forms.
Sure, but like every time a Patronus is used in the books, or at least until it becomes really commonplace, they spend time on like what the memory is or what the feeling is.
I
like
see.
Casting a Patronus feels like what a Patronus is supposed to feel like.
Well,
so like there's always a moment in the book where it's like, this is a good happy thing, and we're casting it, and we're using the energies of our good happy thing to fight the dark thing.
That
and
is
I like
true.
that.
I did have a bit of a mild issue with that this time around, which I've never really thought about until now.
Interesting.
As we said, it's really cool to see the magic class, and we get to describe, like, you have to feel a certain way for this spell to work. You can't just say it. There's different elements to this, and let's practice it, and that's all good and fine. Dementors are the physical embodiment of depression. That's what Rowling said when she made them, because she battled depression. And they make everyone feel depressed when they're around. And the way to combat them is with positivity. And there's something to that that's really cool. However, there is a not so great perspective on, when you feel depressed, just be happy. Like, that's not how that works. But that's kind of what we're saying here. Like, you have the essence of sadness dreariness and despair. It's affecting you, and the way you have to combat it with the positivity. There's an element there of dealing with a creature. That's all good and fine. The essence of the message here is like, oh, when you're sad, just be glad. Just be happy. It's not that hard. Like it's a little. I understand it's not that aggressive, but that's a thing that people.
I see what you're saying, and I don't have any like, I guess, training in this area necessarily, but to me, it's not so much about like, don't be sad, be happy instead, which is like, the very simplistic version of it. It's more about going back into your mind and remembering the things you have to be grateful for and remembering the reasons you have to be happy. And that allows you to win out over the depression. It might still be too much of like
it's a little
willpower take,
a little simplistic, even though from a magical standpoint, especially with what we've been given in the last two movies, it's really, really good. As a metaphor for combating depression, it's really naive, I think.
I do know that a lot of people focus on gratitude to improve their situation. And I think that's essentially what the Patronus is supposed to be doing, is practicing, like, gratitude by reminding yourself of the good things. Like, it's like, your brain is psychologically wired to focus on the negative stuff. Making sure that we intentionally remember and spend time mentally in the positive stuff is one of the best ways we have to counteract this, like, negative bias that our brain develops. But I will agree that it, especially with the way that it turns into sort of like a fight sequence between the Dementors and Patronuses, it does kind of feel like a willpower thing, which is not really how to get over a depression. Yeah. Maybe it's a way to handle it for a moment, but like for long term, that's not usually what is recommended.
I think about it every now and then. Like if I were there, if anything is making you feel depressed, it must be very hard to try to feel positivity. And then I do wonder, as someone who's dealt with depression in the past, would I be affected by a Dementor very potently, and that it would like wipe me out, or because I'm used to that feeling in my past, like, would it give you a bit of an edge?
Like a lapis lazuli thing.
Yeah, maybe.
Have you watched Steven Universe?
Well, some of it. I don't really know what the reference is in that case, but
there's a character that goes through something that's psychologically terrible for hundreds of years, and then there's another character that has the ability to project her depression basically on people, like her strong emotions on people. And the one who's gone through like the tough stuff, she's crying, but she's like, I felt worse, and she can just handle it. Yeah.
We are definitely over our time. It's all right. No one's listening. These are going to be longer.
The time turner stuff is really good. I don't have any complaints about it. I feel like it works really well in the film. I like the fact that it's almost like a little side quest to wrap things up. Like, because arguably, I would say the climax of the film is largely like the shrieking shack stuff, right? But then, like, it doesn't end the way we want it to end. So we extend the story and we cheat a little bit. We use some time travel. And the fact that it was set up at the beginning and you don't really pay attention to it, and then it's revealed at the end that Hermione has been using it. Now, Hermione using time travel, especially when it has such dire consequences, to go to all of her classes. Once again, Hogwarts, are we sure that you are a safe place for students to be? But allowing that.
McGonagall giving,
it's a fun thing.
McGonagall giving Hermione Granger a time turner to take more classes, I can almost believe her 7th year. 13?
Yes.
13! Yes. And you gave this child the ability to travel through time? Madam, please, too much. We're doing too much here. You need to stop buying children gifts because it's just dangerous.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's definitely stuff we didn't talk about, good and bad. It's like there's plenty to nitpick. But there's also,
like, we didn't even mention the fact that the Whomping Willow is in a completely different location than it previously was.
Well, we also, Snape says a Whomping Willow in the last movie, so it could be a different tree. But yeah, there's lots to talk about. For me, 'Tis a Whale. I think it might be the best one. I think it's just got a lot of good strengths. It's really fun. But yeah, we're at our time. We gotta stop somewhere. So.
It's a whale for me. It's a whale for me. This was a good one. I've got questions about some things, but it's good.
Sure. On to the next.
On to the next.